Welcome to bongosikha. Aspirants, today I am going to discuss about the federal system. What is the federal government? Because earlier I have discussed the parliamentary system of the government. So now you have to know about the federal system of the government. So political scientists have classified the governments into two sections or into two subcategories. That is, one is the federal type of government and the unitary type of the government. The unitary government, by definition, is that type of government in which all the powers and authority are vested in the center or the central government, and if the state governments or regional governments at all exist, they derive their authority from the union government. On the contrary, the federal government is that type of government where all the powers are divided between the center and the states at its periphery. And the states of the central government and the states both are expected to work within their limited jurisdiction as prescribed by the constitution. So in the unitary type of government, we are saying that the all powers and authority are vested in the national government, and regional governments, if at all, exist to derive their authority from the national government. But in case of the federal type of government, we see that there is a clear distribution of the authority and powers between the national government and the states at its periphery. So this is about the federal system. Now the term federation is derived from the Latin word foedus. Foedus means treaty or agreement. So the federation means that it is the result of the treaty or agreement among the units which form the federation. So these units are known as different names in various parts of the world. Like in USA, these units are known as the states, cantons in Switzerland, republics in Russia, and provinces in Canada. These are the different names of the union. They are known in different parts under the different parts of the world. So a federation can be formed by two ways, that either by way of integration or by way of disintegration. So in the first case, that military weak and economically backward independent states may come and join together to form a strong big union. That is the example, or that is the case of the USA. On the other hand, or on the contrary, when a federation, a strong union converted into a federation, in that case it happens that the national government confers authority to the regional governments in order to secure the regional autonomy and the regional interest. This is the case, or this is the example of the Canada. So by way of integration, we can see that America, USA has formed, and by way of disintegration, the Canada has formed. So these are the two examples from two categories, that by way of integration and by way of disintegration. Now the Constitution of India, in our Constitution, the Constitution of India has adopted a federal government system. Why? There are two reasons. Because the large size of the country, India is a huge size, the large size of the country, and second, the socio-cultural diversity which is present in the India. So that they realized, the makers of the constitution, they realized that the federal adoption of the federal government not only ensures the efficient governance of the country, but also reconciles national unity with regional autonomy. So this is the main thing why the constitution makers of India adopted the federal government of polity. Next, I am going to discuss that in Constitution, nowhere India has been described as a federation of states. Rather, Article 1 of the Constitution describes India as the union of states. And in this context, it is noteworthy that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar preferred the term union of states to the federation of states, because it indicates that the India is not the result of the agreements among the units, and therefore the units have no right to secede from the federation. So union is the federation which is indestructible. So this is the case in India. Now there are some features of the constitution, like federal constitution, federal features of the constitution, because right now I have told that India has adopted a federal government. So what are the features of those federal government? Why we can say that our Indian government has adopted the federal government? So there are few reasons, the features are there. So dual polity, the constitution establishes, or constitution adopts a dual polity, that is the center, union at the center and the states at its periphery. And that is why that each is endowed with the sovereign power, that both the center and the states both are endowed with the sovereign power, and they are expected to work in their limited jurisdiction so as prescribed by the constitution. That is why the central government deals with the matter of the national importance. What are the matter of the national importance? In my earlier class also I have told that the defense, currency and coinage, foreign affairs, conclusion of treaty, agreement, war, these are the matter of the national importance. On the other hand, the state government takes care of the matter of the regional importance or the local importance, that is agriculture, education, public order, sanitation, health, etc. So this is that dual polity. Next, written constitution. Indian constitution has adopted a federal written constitution, which is the lengthiest constitution in the world. Originally comprising of 395 articles, 1 preamble, 8 schedules. After a lot of amendments and repeals, now it consists of only 1 preamble, nearly 470 articles and 12 schedules. So this is that it specifies also the structure, organization, functions, etc., that of both the central and the state governments limits to work within their respective jurisdiction as prescribed or as determined by the Constitution. Thus, it wants to avoid any misunderstanding or any type of conflict between these two units, the center and the states. So, this is the written constitution. What is the value of the written constitution? Because everything is clearly written here, that is why it is lengthy. And since it is lengthy, there is no question of arising any misunderstanding between the center and the states. So, is that clear? Next, division of powers. The constitution divides the powers between the center and the states into 3 categories. Earlier also I have discussed that central, that union list, which is comprising of almost 97, originally 97 items. Then state list, originally comprising of 66 items, and the concurrent list, which originally consists of the 47 items. During normal times on concurrent list, both the center and the states can make laws. But in case of any emergency, in case of any abnormal situation, the state laws shall prevail. The state have no right to make any laws on the concurrent list. So this is another feature. Next, that supremacy of the constitution. The the Indian law or the constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the laws enacted by the center and the states must conform to its provisions. Otherwise, they may be declared as invalid by the Supreme Court and the High Courts by their power of judicial review. Next, that the rigid constitution, that in order to secure the supremacy of the constitution and the distribution of powers between the center and the states, it is very much needed to make the amendment procedure rigid. So that is why the Indian Constitution has adopted the rigid constitution, or the amendment procedure in India is rigid. Then independent judiciary. The Constitution establishes an independent judiciary headed by the Supreme Court, and for the two purposes just now I have discussed, that to protect the supremacy of the Constitution and to settle the disputes between the center and the states, or among the states, because the Supreme Court can protect the supremacy of the Constitution by its power of judicial review. Next, bicameralism. This is very important, that Indian government has adopted a bicameral legislature consisting of the two houses, the Rajya Sabha, that is the upper house, the Lok Sabha, that is the lower house. The Rajya Sabha is a federation of the states, while Lok Sabha represents the house of the people. Here you see that Rajya Sabha, even though a less powerful chamber in the parliament, is required to maintain. Why Rajya Sabha is required? The Rajya Sabha is required to maintain a federal equilibrium in the state, in the policy, in the protecting the interest of the states. Rajya Sabha is required to protect the interest of the states in the undue interference of the center. That is why the Rajya Sabha, being a less powerful chamber, is required to maintain the federal equilibrium by protecting the interest of the states against the undue interference of the center. So this is the why there is the provision for the Rajya Sabha, the upper house. This is clearly this is the reason. Next, that this I have discussed all the federal features of the Constitution. Now the unitary features of the Constitution I am going to discuss. Unitary features of the Constitution, that the strong center. The division of powers is located or is concentrated inclined to the center, and which is highly inequitable from a federal angle, because we see in the central in the union list there are more items compared to the state list, and even in the concurrent list also the state the union has the upper hand. During any emergency, the union can make laws on the concurrent list, not the states government have no right to make any law on the concurrent list during the type of the emergency or any type of abnormal situation. So this is next, that a point, that single constitution, unlike that other federations, usually in a federation what we have seen, that the union has a constitution and the states have framed their own constitution, but in India there is no provision for the states to frame their own constitution. So in India we have adopted that is the single constitution, the only constitution in India, and that is the supreme law of the land. Next, that the emergency provisions. The Constitution stipulates three types of emergencies, that is the national emergency, the final emergency, and the state emergency. So during the emergency, the central government becomes all powerful, and the state governments, what it does, that the state governments completely goes into the control or into the hands of the center. Next, single citizenship. Unlike like that of the Canada, in spite of dual polity, India has adopted a single citizenship. There is only one citizenship, that is Indian citizenship. In USA, we have seen that citizenship of the states and the citizenship of the India. But like Canada, India has adopted only single citizenship. Next, integrated judiciary. The India has established an integrated judicial system with the Supreme Court at the top and the High Courts at the below or at the bottom. This single system of court enforces both the central laws as well as the state laws. Next, that union, that all India services like federal governments, that USA has the separate public service commission for the union and for the states. India also like that only. India is also having their own public services commission for the center as well as for the states. You know it very well because you were the aspirants of the WBCS exam. So this is the main thing. But in addition, there is all India examinations, which are those, that is the Indian Administrative Service, IAS, IPS, IFS, Indian Foreign Service. So these represent both the center and the states. Next, integrated audit machinery. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India not only audits the revenues or the accounts of the central government, but also those of the states. Next, that appointment of the governor. The governor is appointed by the president and holds his office during the pleasure of the president. Thus, it clearly indicates that the governor is the representative of the center. So these are the whatever we can say, that these are the some unitary features of the constitution. So I have discussed both the parliamentary features of the constitution and the unitary features of the constitution. Now there is a small critical evaluation regarding this, that what we have discussed till now, from that above discussion, that it is clear that the Constitution of India has deviated from the traditional model of the federal system like that of the US, Australia, and it has incorporated several features of the unitary system of the government, titling the balance of the power in favor of the center. So this is all about the federal system. Thank you.